COMEX open live. Silver and gold soar. Banker set. Final plan in motion. Silver and gold do not move like this without a reason. When both metals surge at the same time, at the exact moment the COMEX bell rings, it is rarely retail excitement. It is positioning, it is preparation, it is pressure building beneath the surface of the financial system. Because when capital begins to hide in metal, it is often running from something else. Treasuries are unstable, liquidity is tightening, central banks are unusually silent, and history shows metals rarely surge together unless confidence somewhere else is fading. So the question is no longer why prices are rising. The real question is, who already understands what comes next? And is this surge the visible sign that a long-prepared financial shift has quietly entered its final phase? Welcome to AG Market Stress. If you have watched markets for decades, if you remember 2008 or even earlier cycles of stress, then you understand something important. Markets whisper before they shout. Before we continue, take a calm moment and subscribe to this channel. Think of it not as clicking a button, but as choosing clarity over noise. And if you are watching, please tell us your city and country in the comments. It helps build a serious community of informed observers, because what is happening now is not local, it is global. At the exact moment the COMEX session opened, the tone of the market changed. Silver and gold did not drift higher. They moved with force, the kind of force that reflects intention rather than accident. Those who study market structure understand that there's a difference between random volatility and coordinated positioning. A scattered rally fades quickly. A structured rally holds. This move felt structured. Volume expanded immediately at the open. Contracts changed hands rapidly. Instead of seeing open interest collapse as short sellers exited, participation expanded. That detail matters. When open interest rises during a rally, it suggests new buyers are entering the market. That is not panic covering. That is accumulation. In normal conditions, the COMEX open acts as a pressure release. Overnight positions are adjusted, weak hands are removed, strong hands test levels. But this session did not resemble routine adjustment. It resembled a shift in control. Gold is traditionally viewed as the monetary barometer. Silver carries both monetary and industrial characteristics. When both metals surge simultaneously, especially at structural points like the opening bell, it often reflects a broader change in liquidity perception. Liquidity is the foundation of the financial system. When it tightens, the first signs appear in bond markets. Treasury yields become unstable. Auction demand weakens subtly. The dollar index moves without conviction. Recent sessions have shown precisely this type of hesitation. If confidence in sovereign debt becomes uncertain, institutions begin searching for neutral assets. Gold carries no counterparty risk. Silver provides leveraged exposure to the same theme. This is not emotional buying, it is defensive positioning. Bullion banks traditionally moderate volatility in futures markets. They provide liquidity and often increase short exposure to stabilize rapid spikes. When volatility expands instead of compresses, it raises an important analytical question. Are those stabilizing forces stepping aside, or are they repositioning themselves? Financial history offers perspective. In 2008, metals began strengthening before systemic weakness was publicly acknowledged. In 2020, gold surged before liquidity programs were fully announced. Markets anticipate policy shifts. They do not wait for confirmation. The present surge carries a similar tone. It reflects preparation rather than celebration. For entrepreneurs and business leaders, the meaning extends beyond commodity prices. When gold rises gradually, it often signals inflation expectations. When gold and silver accelerate together with structural strength, it can indicate declining confidence in monetary stability. Declining confidence changes capital behavior, risk appetite narrows. Credit conditions tighten quietly. Lending standards adjust before headlines explain why. This is why the COMEX open matters today. It may represent more than volatility. It may represent institutions adjusting balance sheets ahead of a more complex liquidity environment. The phrase suggesting that bankers have set a final plan in motion should not be interpreted emotionally. Financial strategies unfold in stages. Central banks have accumulated gold steadily over recent years. Sovereign reserves have diversified quietly. Futures markets may now be reflecting the visible layer of that deeper repositioning. The opening bell was not simply the start of a session. It may have been a signal. And if this signal continues across the coming sessions, the business community will need to reassess leverage exposure, liquidity buffers, and growth assumptions. Because when metals move with conviction, they are often pointing towards stress building somewhere else, and that stress rarely remains hidden for long. The surge did not begin with excitement. It began with mechanics. In financial markets, price is often the last thing to move. Before price moves, positioning shifts. Before positioning shifts, risk calculations change. At the COMEX open, the first visible layer was volatility. But beneath that volatility sat something more important, leverage adjustment. Futures markets operate on margin. This means large positions can be controlled with relatively small capital. When prices begin to move sharply, margin requirements expand. When margin expands, weak positions are forced to close. And when forced closures begin, momentum accelerates. This is how vertical moves are born, but forced buying alone does not sustain a rally. For a surge to hold, strong hands must absorb supply. That absorption was visible in the structure of the move. Open interest did not collapse, it grew. This detail matters. When a rally is purely short covering, open interest declines because positions are being closed. When open interest expands during a rally, it suggests new buyers are entering. That is accumulation behavior. He who studies market structure understands this difference immediately. The next layer of analysis involves bullion banks. Historically, bullion banks have acted as primary liquidity providers in precious metals futures. They carry large, short positions as part of their hedging and market-making functions. Their positioning helps stabilize price spikes, but there are periods when their behavior changes. If bullion banks begin reducing short exposure instead of increasing it, volatility can expand quickly. That expansion suggests a transition from suppression to participation. The question then becomes, why would stabilizers step back? One answer lies in collateral stress. Global banking systems rely heavily on sovereign bonds as collateral. If bond yields rise unpredictably, collateral values fluctuate. That creates balance sheet instability. When balance sheets tighten, risk tolerance narrows. In such environments, hard assets become attractive hedges. Gold is not someone else's liability. It carries no counterparty risk. Silver shares part of that characteristic, while also benefiting from industrial demand. If institutions begin reallocating from unstable collateral into tangible assets, metals futures become the fastest channel for exposure. The timing aligns with broader signals. Treasury auctions have shown subtle strain. Yield curves remain distorted. Repo markets have experienced brief but noticeable liquidity tremors. These are not headlines yet, but they are warnings for those who observe closely. Liquidity compression does not announce itself loudly. It appears as small inconsistencies, failed breakouts in equities, hesitant bond buyers, sudden spikes in funding rates. And then metals move. Silver's behavior deserves special attention. Silver typically underperforms gold in calm periods. It outperforms when monetary stress accelerates. This is because silver attracts speculative leverage. When traders anticipate systemic shifts, they prefer higher beta exposure. The gold to silver ratio becomes a measuring tool. When the ratio compresses rapidly, it often signals rising risk appetite within defensive positioning. That paradox is important. Capital may be defensive in direction, moving toward metals, but aggressive in structure, choosing silver for amplified exposure. This combination suggests urgency. From a business perspective, leverage stress in futures markets can spill outward. Commodity price acceleration increases input costs. Margin volatility increases hedging expenses. Credit providers adjust risk models. Entrepreneurs rarely feel these shifts immediately. They appear gradually through tighter lending standards, higher borrowing costs, or delayed financing approvals. But markets move ahead of those changes. He who waits for policy confirmation usually reacts too late. Another structural driver must be considered: central bank accumulation. Over the past several years, central banks have purchased record amounts of gold. These purchases were not random. They reflect strategic diversification away from over-concentrated reserve exposure. If futures markets are now accelerating in alignment with physical accumulation trends, it suggests a convergence of paper and physical demand. That convergence is powerful. When paper markets rise without physical confirmation, rallies fade. When physical markets tighten alongside futures expansion, price can reprice structurally. Entrepreneurs must interpret this not as speculation, but as a shift in monetary preference. Money moves where it feels safest. If sovereign debt carries increasing political and fiscal risk, capital seeks neutrality. Gold represents neutrality. Silver represents leveraged neutrality. This is not a prediction of collapse. It is an observation of preparation. The COMEX open surge may reflect institutions adjusting before public narratives change. It may reflect balance sheet hedging before policy statements acknowledge stress. Liquidity cycles do not end suddenly. They tighten gradually, then break quickly. If this metal surge is rooted in leverage adjustment and collateral stress, it suggests that financial conditions beneath the surface are more fragile than headlines suggest. And fragility in liquidity always precedes fragility in growth. For founders building companies, this demands caution. Preserve optionality, protect cash flow, reduce unnecessary leverage, monitor credit conditions closely. Because when markets begin moving with mechanical urgency rather than emotional excitement, they are usually responding to something deeper, something structural, something that has already begun. While many observers focused on the surge at the COMEX Open, a quieter story was unfolding thousands of miles away. In Shanghai, physical premiums told their own version of events. When the price of gold or silver trades higher in one region than another, it is not a coincidence. It reflects demand imbalance. It reflects urgency in the physical market that paper contracts cannot fully disguise. He who studies global capital flows understands that price divergence is rarely accidental. If Shanghai premiums expand while New York futures accelerate, it signals alignment between physical accumulation and financial positioning. That alignment is powerful. It suggests that Eastern buyers are not waiting for Western confirmation. Over the past decade, Asian markets have steadily increased physical gold ownership. Central banks in the region have diversified reserves. Private wealth has shifted portions of savings into tangible assets. This is not emotional buying. It is strategic memory. Regions that have experienced currency instability in the past tend to value asset neutrality. Gold becomes a long-term anchor. Silver becomes an accessible extension of that anchor. Now consider Washington. The United States faces an enormous refinancing cycle. Sovereign debt must be rolled over at higher interest rates than in previous years. That process increases fiscal pressure. Higher interest expenses compete with other spending priorities. This creates a policy dilemma. Raise rates too aggressively, and debt servicing costs rise sharply. Lower rates prematurely, and currency confidence weakens. Markets understand this tension before voters do. If metals are rising aggressively during such a refinancing window, it may indicate that global capital is hedging against policy miscalculation. The bond market often acts as the first warning system. When yields move unpredictably, or auctions attract weaker participation, institutions begin seeking alternatives. Capital rarely exits without finding shelter. In recent years, sovereign reserve managers have quietly reduced exposure to certain currencies. They have increased gold holdings at the fastest pace in decades. These decisions were not announced with urgency. They were executed gradually. But gradual accumulation eventually meets visible price reaction. Another layer of this chessboard involves currency competition. When multiple economies experience inflationary pressure simultaneously, competitive devaluation becomes tempting. A weaker currency can support exports. But when all major economies pursue similar strategies, currency volatility increases globally. Metals function as neutral ground in currency competition. They do not belong to one nation. They are not dependent on one policy regime. In periods of geopolitical tension, neutrality gains value. Shanghai premiums reflect local demand. COMEX futures reflect global financial positioning. Washington policy reflects fiscal strain. When these three factors begin aligning, markets are signaling structural realignment. Entrepreneurs operating internationally must understand the implications. If currency volatility increases, import costs fluctuate. Supply chains become less predictable. Hedging expenses rise. Contract pricing becomes more complex. Capital flight patterns offer another important signal. When high net worth individuals and institutions begin reallocating portions of portfolios from bonds into tangible assets, it is often done quietly. Large shifts rarely happen in one transaction. They occur in phases. First, exposure is reduced subtly. Then defensive assets are increased. Finally, leverage is adjusted. The current metal surge may represent the final visible phase of that rotation. Central banks do not explain every reserve decision immediately. They move methodically. When official purchases rise consistently over several years, it signals strategic intention rather than temporary speculation. He who connects these dots sees a pattern: physical demand strengthening in the east, fiscal pressure building in the west. Futures markets accelerating in New York. This is not random volatility. It is coordinated response to uncertainty. If global capital begins treating metals as strategic reserves rather than trading instruments, the repricing could extend beyond short-term speculation. For young entrepreneurs, this global shift has practical meaning. International expansion strategies must consider currency risk more carefully. Debt denominated in volatile currencies carries greater uncertainty. Long-term contracts may require flexibility clauses. Understanding global capital migration is not academic. It is defensive preparation. When money moves quietly across borders into tangible stores of value, it suggests declining trust in policy stability. Trust is the foundation of credit. Credit is the foundation of growth. If trust begins to erode, even gradually, growth conditions change. The metal surge at the COMEX Open may therefore represent more than domestic positioning. It may be the visible surface of a deeper global repositioning already underway. And if that repositioning continues, the competitive landscape for capital, currency, and credibility may look very different in the months ahead. Markets rarely move in isolation. When gold and silver surge together at structural points like the COMEX Open, the move must be examined not as a spike, but as a potential beginning. Because there are only two possibilities. Either this is a temporary volatility event, or it is the early stage of repricing. He who studies financial history understands that repricing events do not feel dramatic at the beginning. They feel technical, gradual, almost routine, until they are not. There are three possible paths from here. The first path is controlled ascent. In this scenario, metals continue rising, but within orderly ranges. Central banks maintain credibility. Bond markets stabilize. Liquidity tightens modestly, but does not fracture. Under this condition, equities may rotate rather than collapse. Growth capital becomes more selective, but not frozen. Inflation remains elevated, but contained. For business leaders, this would require adaptation, not alarm. Higher input costs, slightly tighter credit, increased hedging expenses, but manageable. The second path is acceleration. Acceleration begins when bond market confidence weakens further. If Treasury yields rise sharply or auction demand softens meaningfully, institutions may rush toward defensive positioning. In that environment, metals could rise vertically rather than steadily. Vertical moves signal urgency. Urgency creates collateral strain. When asset values shift quickly, leveraged positions across markets must adjust. Margin requirements increase. Liquidity drains from weaker participants first. Banking systems are highly interconnected. A sudden tightening in funding markets can ripple into lending standards within weeks. Entrepreneurs would feel this as delayed financing approvals, reduced credit lines, and higher borrowing costs, not because banks wish to restrict growth, but because risk models adjust automatically. The third path is the most structural. Monetary regime shift. This does not imply collapse. It implies transformation. A regime shift occurs when confidence in fiat purchasing power declines steadily over time. Capital then reallocates toward tangible stores of value on a sustained basis. In such an environment, metals do not spike and retreat. They revalue and stabilize at higher levels. This affects more than investors. It changes how businesses plan. Cost of capital becomes permanently higher. Long-term contracts must account for currency erosion. Cash reserves must be managed more strategically. Young entrepreneurs often focus only on revenue growth, but in regime transitions, balance sheet resilience becomes more important than rapid expansion. Liquidity becomes protection, debt becomes risk, optionality becomes survival. The business community must prepare without panic. Preparation does not mean liquidating assets impulsively. It means strengthening fundamentals, maintain adequate cash reserves, avoid excessive leverage tied to variable interest rates, diversify exposure across currencies where possible, negotiate supplier agreements with flexibility, monitor funding markets, not just equity indices, because metals often move before equity stress becomes visible. Gold represents trust. Silver represents amplified trust, or amplified fear. If both are rising aggressively at the same time, the message may be simple. Confidence is being recalibrated, and recalibration spreads quietly at first. There's another risk few discuss openly. When institutions move heavily into defensive assets, growth capital can slow. Venture funding may contract. Risk tolerance among lenders narrows. This does not eliminate opportunity. It reshapes it. In tighter liquidity environments, disciplined operators outperform aggressive speculators. Businesses with stable cash flow gain negotiating power. Those dependent on cheap borrowing struggle. The COMEX open surge may therefore be a forward indicator, not of collapse, but of transition. Transitions reward preparation. They punish complacency. He who ignores early signals must later react to loud ones. Markets are not emotional beings. They are collective risk assessments expressed through price. If price is rising in metals with conviction, it may be because risk elsewhere is rising quietly. The phrase "bankers set final plan in motion" does not imply conspiracy. It implies coordination. Large institutions do not wait for crisis headlines. They reposition gradually, then decisively. If this surge represents the decisive phase, then the window for quiet preparation may already be narrowing. Entrepreneurs, investors, and decision makers must now ask a disciplined question. Is this simply volatility? Or is this the market revealing that the monetary landscape ahead will demand stronger balance sheets, lower leverage, and sharper strategic thinking? Because if acceleration continues, the repricing may not remain confined to gold and silver, and those who prepare early will stand steady, while others adjust under pressure.